What do you get when you cross a Gar and an Elder Scrolls Online town guard? A guard. What's going on, YouTube? Jake standing on a rock here because we have an official update as to how the Golden Vendor is now going to be different. And I thought this is a great day to talk about it. It's the day before the community event. There's a whole lot of hoopla going on in the PTS right now. And really, we should ask ourselves, is this enough to make the Golden Vendor worth going to? And we're going to talk about that and all in today's video and more. So let's just briefly give a quick synopsis on the Golden before we start doing the changes here. They're on screen if you want to read ahead. If you want to be that, more than welcome to read ahead. So the Golden Vendor used to be the only way that you could get gold jewelry. Only way. And every set would cycle through it. That's why we talk about the Golden Vendor every Friday, because it's there from Friday to early Monday morning. And it used to be essential to getting good items. Now, it's kind of still essential if you don't want to spend, hundreds of thousands of gold to upgrade a purple to a gold ring, or with the new curated drop systems, it's usually better to buy a gold ring versus farming a dungeon again where you might not get that curated drop that you need. So there's a lot of really good pros to using the Golden Vendor, and that's where I think that this change is going to be essential to keeping it relevant. So if I've just told you, hey, it's been relevant this whole time because it costs an arm and a leg to upgrade jewelry. Well, with the new jewelry crafting changes, the jewelry prices are going to likely plummet, making it very affordable to upgrade pieces of jewelry. And because of that, they've really had to go back and look through the Golden Vendor and make sure that it stays relevant, because I like the idea of it. I think, a lot of people do. A weekly kind of reward for playing the game and making sure that you have the ability to get some really exclusive dungeon sets, dungeon masks. It could be an overland set, and so on. Making sure that you get those exclusive items without having to actually go in and farm the content over and over and over again. So, what do these changes look like? And quite simply, the overland jewelry. So those are any pieces of jewelry that cycles through the game, and again, it could be pretty much any set in the game. Any set that comes from the overland is now going to cost 125,000 gold or 225,000 AP. Dungeon jewelry will now cost 200,000 gold or 375,000 AP, which is an interesting math decision. Masks and shoulders will remain the same. I think that's kind of makes sense because the masks would always come out at purple anyway. Those would be the random shoulders or helmets, depending on the week. And then they removed an item that was appearing there that shouldn't have been there. So, interesting change. Also important to note that between the periods of October 30th and November 14th, there will be differing Golden Vendors, which I always hate, because it's hard to cover two Golden Vendors. Do I make the thumbnail for console players? Do I make it for PC players? Do I clickbait you and do whichever one's better? I wouldn't do that. I'm kidding. I'd probably just do console and then touch upon the PC one. I actually don't know what I will do. I have to figure that out later. But the quintessential question is, does this save the Golden Vendor's relevance? And the answer to that, unfortunately, is I don't know. And let's talk about why I don't know. So the reason where this becomes very tricky is that in your craft bag, you've got a lot of different plethora of items that you can use to upgrade things. And if you want to upgrade the items that you have that you're wearing, you're able to do so. And a lot of you have keenly pointed out that more people wear, things that require waxes and alloys to upgrade because that's weapons, because that's pieces of armor. And so jewelry is only going to be 3 pieces, and if you've already gotten a mythical on there, then it's only 2 pieces. So how much of these jewelry mats going to really be going for that's going to make it profitable to actually go and buy the Golden Vendor as an alternative? Because if jewelry mats are so cheap, then really there's no point in using the Golden Vendor for anything unless there's a dungeon set in there that you don't want to farm. Because, for example, let's say we were farming a dungeon right now. We got ourselves our curated drops. If I was to farm a Black Heart Haven, which you can see it, haven't really farmed it because really Bone Pirate's the only thing that ever used to be worth getting in there. But if I was to actually go out and kill any of the main bosses, which is not the final boss, any main boss in there, I would get a guaranteed armor piece. And then at the end, I'm guaranteed to get a weapon or jewelry piece of any of the sets. And the problem is that they're guaranteed to give me one that I don't have, which means that if I had the ring, which I do, so I have this bone pirate ring, I have to unlock every single weapon and piece of jewelry before I can roll for it again, which would be painful. So it sometimes can be easier to just outright buy one. Just buy yourself a golden one and you can upgrade the other one if you want. Chests are also not curated drops. This is only from bosses. This was kind of put in place, I think, for the dungeon, specifically Arx Corneum, which was absolutely ludicrous to farm and do its completion of. So that's kind of how curated drops play a big role into this, because curated drops are the reason why you probably don't want to farm dungeon jewelry repeatedly, but that also doesn't affect necklaces. You're guaranteed to still get a necklace in the same way. Now, you might not want to, be in a situation where you have to farm a dungeon a quintillion times, so it could still be worth it to buy it in that situation. But overall, when it comes to reselling, like say, for example, we got ourselves an Overland jewelry set. That's going to be our 125,000 gold, 225,000 AP. Let's say even it's a juicy set. It's Pariah. We got Pariah in there. Why do I think Pariah is a juicy set? Because it is good. It is not best in slot, but it is good. It's good throughout most patches for PvP. Obviously, PvP sets are really the ones that come from the Overland. I do know that sometimes I get comments like, why do you talk about PvP sets more than PvE sets? Well, PvP sets, usually there's a lot more variety and diversity in them. There's just happens to be a lot more of them. And PvE sets that are best in slot usually seem to drop from dungeons, so you can't resell them. So that's why resale value sometimes is important to think from a PvP mindset. And I'm saying this very quickly. I don't want this video to be super long. But Pariah, I don't think 125,000 gold or 225,000 AP is going to be a good pickup. I think that at the end of the day, it's probably going to be better to just get a purple ring and upgrade it. Now, I'll break down the math once the servers actually come out and we can see the economic value, because here's where I could be wrong. Writ books right now are absolutely going crazy on the market. So for those of you who don't know, the writ book economy has been going absolutely crazy. You are able to sell your blues, your purples, your gold, jewelry crafting writs for an amazing profit. And I would encourage you guys to do so if you don't want to actually do the writs. Which means that when this brand new crafting station comes out and people are going to be farming writs like fiends, they're going to need jewelry upgrade mats. Which then means jewelry upgrade mats might be artificially increased for a while at the beginning of when they're released. So that's an important distinction to keep in mind, because as new items are increased, for example, the Grandmaster crafting stations, which are going to buy the attunables with these writ vouchers, people are going to want writ vouchers either to buy or sell, so that way they can profit off of the FOMO, or the I need to have this thing right away upon its release. So that's an important distinction. And I think for that reason, it's still going to be worth getting certain sets at the beginning of the time period where we have golden vendors. This is a lot of speculation, I know. And as we go through the golden vendors and I look through the weekly vendors, we're going to talk about it every single week, the specifics, where the economy is going. This is more of just a grand overview for everybody, so that way we're kind of all on the same page with each other. But that is actually going to kind of wrap up my thoughts on the golden vendor. On one hand, I could see the economy really exploding with jewelry mats at the beginning, but then really tapering off, or I could see it tapering off immediately because a lot of people are not selling the jewelry mats right now, and they're going to have a whole bunch, and it's not going to be enough to impact the jewelry mat economy. The jewelry mats are going to be very low in value, and because of that, it's not going to be worth buying from the golden vendor at the current price point. It's also important to note, too, that ZeniMax is tweaking these numbers, so there's going to be a lot of tweaking going on here, so we'll see how everything kind of pans out in its entirety. But that, again, is going to be the end of the video. I want to thank you guys so much again for spending some time with me on top of this rock. And this is Craglorn? No, this is Rothgar. Oh my goodness. I should have known this is Rothgar. Looks totally like it. All these mountains. But thank you guys again. We're still doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you have to do is leave a like, be subscribed, and then listen for a random word to be flashed upon the screen throughout the month. The month is almost over. It will be flashed upon the video here soon. So by watching and by sticking around, subscribing, and being a liker of the videos. That's probably a better way I could phrase that. You'll be entered. My way to get back to you. I love y'all, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jake Clips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.
Today was a pretty bad day, so just wanted to thank you guys again for your comments and nice words on all the previous videos, and truthfully for the future videos that you guys put them on. You guys have always been very supportive, regardless of how stressful anything else was going on, and you guys deserve a pat on the back for that. So thank you. I can't pat your back, but I would, because I really do appreciate you guys, and I mean that sincerely. Thank you guys.